everyone. My name is Nikitaa Bhardwaj. Today I'm here with Youth State Lead, an initiative by Sakriti Eco. Today I have here two amazing and incredibly talented people, Stuti Kulkarni and Koyena. Please go ahead and introduce yourselves, both of you.
Hi, I'm Stuti. I am one of the co-heads of the Wordshop. I am currently a political science student studying in Ashoka University, and I'm really excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Koyena, and I'm also a second-year student at Ashoka University, and I'm studying English.
That's great. You both have an initiative, Wordshop. So what is exactly Wordshop?
So the workshop is meant to be a space where young teens can explore literature and language without, the traditional structure of a classroom. And we try to take English proficiency and vocabulary building at the same time. And we try to link these two related activities to some sort of text. Last time we did a short story and a song. This time we'll probably do an anime.
Stuti, anything you would like to say?
Yeah, I think it's just also a space to explore the love for language outside of a high school or a middle school curriculum, and just to provide the space for some amount of freedom and some amount of relatability to middle school and high schooler teens, and to make the language more approachable to them and not as intimidating.
So obviously this workshop is very involved in literature. How did you both get interested in literature?
I'm studying literature, so I think my interest in literature is pretty apparent. But yeah, I didn't have many friends growing up, so naturally, my first companions were books.
That's amazing, Stuti.
My love for literature has come from I really love reading and I really love writing. And I'm particularly fascinated by like metaphors and wordplay and things in poetry. So just, this is one of the ways in which I can stay connected to literature.
Wordshop, what is the age group that you aim at, target for, the involved in your workshop?
So our age group that we're targeting is 11 to 16-year-olds, and it can be like plus minus 1 year if students are interested. So mainly targeting middle schoolers and early high schoolers who have some little extra time from not studying boards and might want to explore different things.
Workshop started on a smaller scale than
I think both are very amazing people, and I would love to hear the story behind Wordshop. What made it come together?
The first person who thought of these ideas, of course. But then I met Stuti in my first year of university, and she helped me take this to another level. And now it's not just like my idea, it's our idea. So yeah, that's how it happened.
That's amazing. So in Wordshop, what all do you cover? As in, some I got an idea of metaphors and different things. So what are the different things you cover?
So one of the interesting things that we feel like is not really dealt with in school specifically is etymology, and that's what a lot of our social media posts also cover. We want to make etymology more accessible, but also just reading and writing exercises and vocabulary building, and making people overall more comfortable with like reading, writing, and engaging with what they're reading, writing, so not just passively consuming it. And in that way also kind of making them more confident to speak up and have some sort of confidence in the language.
That's great. What are your takes on literature? Because it's so deeply involved with literature and language. Both of your takes on literature.
Yeah, so I think we don't really engage with what I understand to be literature as a student of literature, but rather I think we build proficiency and interest in the language. So, proficiency is skill, and interest is sort of an inclination to learn more and read more and understand more. And I think these are essential tools that every learner of a different language needs to equip themselves with, so that they themselves can sort of further their own learning of the language. And they don't need to be spoon fed all the time, and they don't need to sit down with a Ren and Martin and cram for 7 hours straight or whatever. Not saying that's a bad thing, of course, to each their own. But our approach is that we sort of step away from that a little bit. And we don't read literature as in, reading and writing and listening and speaking, Shakespeare and Dickens and all that. But we see how ideas are communicated. We see how they are connected. We see how we can effectively communicate ideas. And I think that's pretty much it. We're not really going into very much of detail.
Stuti, what is your take on literature?
So with regard to the workshop, I think we use literature as a medium in like teaching these concepts that we want to use. And also, I think that the manner in which, you kind of build reading skills, writing skills, or even speaking skills, those help you better understand literature. So that's also one of the ways in which literature is involved with our program. And that's kind of how we want to bring about the love. So by having some sort of confidence in the language and how it works, you can also have like an interest further in literature.
Right. So you both work very closely with organizing a lot of stuff with Wordshop, I guess. So I already want to know, how did you both meet?
Stuti, do you want to do this? It's kind of embarrassing. There was a Zoom call. So we were assigned to the same floor of a residence hall. And there was a group chat. And there was like a Zoom meeting that was scheduled on the group chat. So I was tasked with introducing myself and I said some funny stuff. And I guess Stuti liked it. So the next day I get a message that I don't remember what exactly you said, but yeah, we've been, constantly talking to each other since then.
Yeah, I think just generally Koyena is so approachable and funny, even in the meeting. So what I remember very vividly was that I was so nervous to introduce myself because it was the first big college event where I was talking. I think the rest were very like webinars and orientation things. So this was one where we were involved. And I was so nervous. But then Koyena kind of mentioned, she pointed out something that I said, and she was like, so they were besties already. And I felt so like instantly comforted by just that, energy of like, let's not be awkward about this, let's just be friends. So I texted her that day and I was just like, it's very out of character to me. I'm really nervous to text people, but I texted her like, you're really funny. And I think we'd be good friends. And then since then we've just been talking. It was like there was no awkwardness, nothing. It's just been like that ever since.
This is so amazing. I can relate to it so much. What are your personal interests other than, working with Wordshop and all?
So my personal interests include, like I mentioned, reading. I really enjoy political graphic novels specifically. That's my current interest. But I also have developed a recent interest in film and like watching movies and the kind of like cinematography aspects of it. And like I really enjoy photography as well. And like obviously one of my more fun interests is like listening to music and keeping up with pop culture, especially like pop culture gossip is one of my guilty pleasures. So definitely those things.
I think it is everyone's guilty pleasure. Koyena, what about your interests?
Yeah, I think I should say here that Stuti has amazing taste in music. I have slightly less amazing taste in music, and like I enjoy indie folk music for the most part. And I have recently also become interested in sports anime in particular. I don't play sports. I never will play sports. But there's just something about like a team dynamic that just does things to me, and it makes me like really happy and comforted to feel that there are animated characters who have friends. Like just the feeling of being friends is just really amazing to me. I don't know, human connections. What can I say?
I relate to it to a certain extent, and I do agree with you. Even though I don't watch anime, but still I do agree with you. Regarding Wordshop, what are your future plans regarding that?
I think we've been incredibly busy, and like since we wrapped up our last and first session of the workshop, and we are very grateful, of course, for all the support and feedback we got from our previous batch. But yeah, we don't know where we're going, and I think that's a good thing. That means more opportunities for us.
Right. Stuti, I think you want to say something.
No, I was just going to say too that we have a new team member. Her name is Maithili, and we're really excited to have her on the team because it's always fun to have like new faces to work with. And also, I think that currently it's also a question of, so our workshop, the first edition of the workshop was online, and because of that online mode, we were able to have a lot of students from different parts of the city. So both of us live in the same city, we live in Gurgaon, and originally we had thought that by then the COVID situation would have subsided a little bit and we would have been able to have an offline session, but we weren't able to. But in a way that was helpful because we got a much larger group from many different cities altogether. So I think now we have to think about what mode we'll take, if we'll continue with the online mode, and like more ways to make the online more engaging, because it comes with this like plus pros and cons altogether.
Right. You both have mentioned that you both are college students. So what are your plans as individual, future plans as individuals? Koyena is just like,
I
don't
just
ask this.
want to escape this semester unscathed and slightly older and slightly wiser. That's all I can hope for at this point.
Stuti, what about you?
The idea was to go abroad for postgraduate, but like we'll see where that goes. Right now, again, just like when I mentioned, I'm also trying to get through this semester in this year unscathed and just try to get that done. But mostly I think it's just that I'm okay not thinking about the future because I'm enjoying what I'm learning in college. So it's fine. Maybe I'm just like floating in that sort of glory of like, oh my God, I'm studying what I enjoy. I'll probably think about that in like 1 year. I'll probably be much more different in a different space and thinking about like what I want to do and panicking at that point, like, oh my God, I have this application, I have to do this, I have to do that. So currently no clue, but definitely we'll have some idea in a little while.
I think that's the amazing feeling, you have a lot of things to explore from and a lot of things you can, decide from. As college students, even myself being as a student, I have a lot of things on my plate which I have to give my time. So how do you manage time with Wordshop?
I think we mostly try to work when we have breaks from college, and we try not to be too hard on ourselves. There was last time there was a social media series that we sort of abandoned halfway because we were just exhausted and we were like burnt out and we couldn't continue anymore. So I think how far we've gotten is also because we let ourselves take breaks and rest a little bit, and also because Stuti and I mutually respect each other a lot. I have great respect for what she's able to achieve over on the social media side and the communication side and the finance side, basically everything other than teaching. And I think Stuti also does have a great deal of respect for what I do. And also the fact that during our 2-week workshop camp, we both got vaccinated at different points, and that never affected our teaching or our schedules at all. I think because we respect each other so much, and we can sort of step up and make up for where the other person is lacking. So I think that's really important. And yeah, we're not pushing ourselves to be productive all the time. I think that is also important. Stuti.
Yeah, just like adding on to that, I think making use of break times, and also I think what really helps is not seeing it necessarily as work. So a few days ago, I was feeling really stressed out from college work. I was kind of sick of opening a Word document, writing an essay, writing a thesis statement, doing all of those things. But then I decided to just start working on new social media posts for the workshop and creating a new theme and everything for the new edition. And that in itself was really exciting because it was a break from what I was doing normally. So a lot of the time it's just us having fun as well, because while it is sort of you do have to stay committed, you have to not abandon something for so long that you kind of forget about it. And I don't think at any point we're forgetting that we have the workshop to work on, but we do take breaks as and when required, because it can get really exhausting, and especially because everything's online, you have so much screen time, and sometimes you might just not want to work on something on screen altogether. So we even take breaks, like we meet out, like whenever we meet together and we meet outside, like, and we hang out, there's no talk of the workshop altogether because we just don't want to have that work on our head. But when we get to work, we get to work properly.
That is amazing. From what I understand, it could be very taxing working on doing workshop and doing college stuff. And I'm sure you would face your own share of difficulties while working on workshop. What are the different difficulties that you face while working for that?
So one of the biggest difficulties, I think our biggest challenge we faced was at the start of this year when the second wave had hit. That was actually the exact time when the workshop was supposed to start, the exact time, the exact dates. So we were burnt out anyways because we had our finals week. And on top of that, it was really a tolling time for a lot of people mentally. Like, a lot of people were taking care of other things or volunteering and all of those aspects that were there that came with that time. And for a while we had to consider whether we were mentally in a space to actually conduct a workshop, and it was a bit disheartening because we'd worked on it for so many months and we weren't really sure how to go about it. There's a lot of things to consider, like, is it really appropriate to be posting about this right now? Should we be doing this, or do we have the mental capacity to be working on it? And we had a set of dates that we had been working on for months, and then within 2 weeks we had a new set of dates, we had a new plan altogether, we had a different approach. And I think working on that was a little bit like, it was difficult, but it worked out in the end. But it can get really tiring when you have to reconsider your whole set of plans altogether. So that was one of the main difficulties. There's a few others, Koyena, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I think because like I mostly handle the curriculum designing on that. So the idea of consuming a piece of media for something other than enjoyment is, a relatively new one for me. Like looking for connections and finding ideas and concepts. But also the fact that there's a very, very wide range of age groups, as Stuti said. I think 10 to 17 or something. And it's really difficult to sort of appeal to everybody at once. To make your content like really universal so that the 16-year-old doesn't get bored, but then the 11-year-old doesn't zone out. So that's like a hard balance to achieve. And also another challenging aspect is just not getting frustrated when somebody doesn't get something. I think I've come a long way, especially in this particular aspect, because it's really a matter of understanding that it's not that you don't understand something and I do, and I'm explaining it to you. Like, I'm not necessarily your better. It's just that you don't know something, but I do. So let's meet in the middle. There's this aspect of like reconciliation and sort of both being equals and no one being better than the other person. So that's something that, we've had to consistently work with, especially because, we individually met up with students to tutor them about their like writing and speaking. And that's when this particular idea really came in handy. So yeah, that's all I think.
I think you both are doing a brilliant job there. Of course, there are things that are difficult. There are some things that you like. What are things that you like with Wordshop?
I think it's really, really, really heartening to see young children that I don't know and I've never met fall in love with a language that I've fallen in love with. And sort of like, igniting that enthusiasm in them. I think our last logo was a lantern, and that was, very, very symbolic and beautiful because we lit the fire of enthusiasm in everybody's mind and so on. But yeah, I think it's pretty amazing to see that how some particular aspects or concepts explained in a slightly different manner can elicit a very different response from like traditional classroom teaching. So that's pretty amazing as well. And also I think another really, really amazing part of the workshop that I'm grateful for is being able to work with my best friend. And every day I get to, bother her about things. And, I have another excuse to text her, not that I need one. So yeah, I think these two are my favorite parts of the workshop. And we also get to like, meet up for I tell her that I want to talk about workshop stuff and then we just end up gossiping for 2 hours. So that has happened on occasion. But yeah, I just like, interacting with people and, trying to sort of pass on knowledge to them. Not that I know all that much.
One of the really good things was just seeing that people finding language in anything, like, when you talk about literature or when you talk about media and you talk about something that's worthy of being studied, you really think of things that are a little difficult sometimes. Like, you'll think of classics, you'll think of movies that are like known to be like Oscar winning or something like that, or something that may not really appeal to somebody who's 13 years old. And one of the examples we used actually to teach perspective, we used both a classical example from like one of the classical texts, and then we also used Avengers Endgame. And seeing them get so enthusiastic to see that, you can learn about language through something that is relatable to you, something that is close to your heart, something that you enjoy talking about. Because I mean, while it did bring up this whole debate on like Iron Man versus Captain America, it also brought about like interesting points on perspective or things that they could see in that they could relate to what they studied the day before. So seeing that in children is very interesting and it's very entertaining, and seeing them like enjoy learning is something that's very fulfilling altogether.
That is really wonderful. And it's really amazing to hear about. I really love what you both are doing. And honestly, I'm very inspired right now that, if you guys can do it, because we're almost the same age. I'm like, if they can do it, I can do something with my life. But right now, I can really do it. I should focus more harder and work more harder. Wonderful talking to both of you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking out time, both of you.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you.
Yes, it really was. And also speaking of like inspiration, you're a 12th board student, you're doing an internship, you're doing like law coaching also. So it's not just us that, you can seek inspiration from, even from yourself, like you're doing so many things at once. And I think that more than anything, it's just the fact that doing what you enjoy, it is worth it in the end. Like, when we were starting off the workshop and when we put out the registration forms, for about 3 days, we had only 3 participants who had come in, and those are people we had known from before, that they were like our family friends or like cousins and stuff. And it was a bit disheartening, but then towards the end, it all worked out really well. And now we're here talking to you. So it will definitely work out, even like, even doing something small can lead to something big. So yeah, and you're doing a lot of inspiring work as well.
Thank you so much. I fully support you guys. Thank you so much once again.